Good morning, Chet.
Well, good morning, Will.
Oh, okay. So that's the energy we're going with today.
All right, now we're there. We're there. We're
Okay,
there. We're
okay.
ready. Let's go. We just got done with some meetings, talking with some people helping us.
Yeah.
We're small, so we need to have partners.
I mean, big people
You
need
know,
partners too, but
well, no, look at so like at Valve, it was verboten to use the word partner.
what?
Because no, we did not partner with anybody. We worked and everything was kind of transactional. For good reason, right? Because people try to latch on sometimes and
Yeah.
it would get weird.
Yeah.
But for us, we're really small. We need help. We need help. So like Evolve PR is a company we work with. And I think I've known Tom in the industry for 100 years,
Yeah,
200.
I used to ask Tom for game keys 20 years ago, and
Yes.
yeah.
And so like they're super helpful for us. Just and I think people think PR and they think, oh, marketing and all this evil stuff, but really all marketing is here's our game, and we just try to tell you what it is so that you have it, and we just want more people to know about it. So one of the things you can do is actually tell your friends about our game. That would help, and then we
We
can get
love
rid of
that.
Tom.
Yeah, I mean, just generally speaking, when you're making a new game with no IP, with a new IP attached to it, without like the backing of a publisher, the hardest part is letting the 7 or 8 billion people on the world know that that game is available and a thing that they might be interested in. Because some percentage of them are going to enjoy it if they'll try it.
Yep, because nobody knows about our game.
No.
Just always assume that. It's the phrase I would use at Valve is Coke puts the name Coke on the side of a Coke machine because you can never ever drill that into people's heads enough. So.
Yeah, yeah. So right. That's why we don't have OK Cole anymore, chat. But today we're doing a grab bag. We dug deep into the Discord and went to the Dev Blog Suggestions channel where you can post your own suggestions for future dev blogs. And we pulled, it's like a clip show. We pulled like 6 or 7 really good questions. And we're going to do mini speed dating dev blogs on each one today, right now.
Don't traditionally you do a clip show if you do a clips of the past season and you save time because you're like, oh God, we're out of ideas.
Okay, I mean, look, part of that's true, part of it's not true. The first one is that multiple people asked about voice acting and recording.
Yes.
And how we do that here, especially now in the time of the Rona.
Yes. So we use SAG actors, which means union actors. And so there's some rules around that. And one of the rules originally was if we recorded someone for one day, we could not use that studio again until the next day. So that made recording this really long process, right? We'd have to do it over a week. And so now they've had it, that's just an hour break between. And I wear masks everywhere. I'm very much a proponent of that, but it gets into these weird situations where in the studio, the same place that we're going to record in a minute, but the actors are in their own booth and it has to go through this process, right? But me and the engineer are in the same room. We keep our masks on all day, except for the hour when we're on lunch break, and then we're allowed to take our masks off. So
look,
everyone's learning, everyone's trying to do the right thing, everyone's trying to be safe. But it was a really long process. And so now we got to sped up a little bit. And Guillaume actually records from his home. He has his own studio in California.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So what, like when you're talking to people, when you're doing this, do you get them to record like the same lines with a bunch of different intonations? Do you get them to do like, hey, I need a hand over here. Hey, I need a hand over here. Like what's your like, do you know going in what you're trying to get out of them, or do you kind of let them go and then see what you like and what you don't like, or is it more complicated than that?
Depending on the thing that they're saying, like you can yell like help, and that's fine even if it's a downtime. But a lot of things like, hey, we should go up those stairs, probably should never be screamed. Yeah. So some lines get that, and some lines we get variation, and go there. And what we try to do is play through the game a bunch, try to figure out what I would think to say, what the characters would think to say, and then what the player would think to say. Capture that, and then we go in, we give them the scripts a couple days early. Back in the Left 4 Dead days, I would often write the script the night before, drinking in a hotel room. I've gotten better, I think, that I don't do that, and also has a lot of beer. So we actually get them ahead of time. We talk about it, and we talk about it in the script. The thing is, we don't actually record all the people at the same time. I want to do that for some of those intro conversations, I think, while like the show Archer is all independently recorded, but they're masters at matching tone and connecting. And occasionally you can catch that it didn't come as quite as good.
Yeah.
But really, they're so good because they're so witty back and forth. They're also just better writing. They're better writers. But I want to do some sessions if we can get people in the studio together when we can eventually again, just so we can have that back and forth. Because like Liu can just say my name and make me laugh. She's this intonation that's just really funny. And it's hard to get the other characters to play off of it because they're looking at the line on the page thinking, oh, this is how it's going to be read, not, oh, that's Liu reading it. And it's going to be funny because she's just brings this brightness to it. And then Nessa just brings this seriousness to it. Right.
I'm gonna ask you one more thing, then we got to move on. But like one of the things I think people don't realize is how many of those intro conversations there are recorded. Like how are you thinking we can put that kind of conversation into the main game as well? Like where they're running through a like kind of a lull in the combat, they have a conversation, something like that, or is like what's your plan for that kind of stuff?
We will do some of that, but often that's really hard to pay attention to. But we will do some more of that. There's more audio coming in, more story. And originally, the intro movie that plays now was supposed to actually show you leaving the Anacrusis, getting on the jump ship, taking it to the isolode, and like we were going to play it all over there. We weren't able to execute on that. I want to at some point because I think players are lost of what's happening and understanding. Fair. Because the lines don't support that, because the lines thought, oh, you will know how you got here. So I think we need to do an intro movie that reflects that, bring it forward. And then we have hundreds of these intros, as well as hundreds of conversations that happen in the safe rooms. And we'll just keep adding to that, right? I mean, it's just me, one audio engineer hooking stuff up and really just bringing out the audio in. The whole process of writing, recording, cutting, and implementing takes a lot of time. And so that's just one of those, we just need to do more of it. Like I like that people like what's there and they're asking for more, but I just need to deliver more.
So one of the other things people have asked about a lot, and I'm not attributing these to any specific person because we're getting there's a lot of dupes, and I don't want to cut anybody out who asked a good question. But it's content updates. So what's our kind of strategy for content updates going forward? Are we going to do lots of little updates? We're going to bundle everything up and wait and do every 3 months a big update? What's our strategy for this?
A rough way you can think about it is there's a train leaving the station every 2 weeks. Now there's a lag on that because we submit it to certification. We've got to prop up the servers, or like something happens like this week. It's the Lunar
New Year.
Lunar New Year, and so some of our partners aren't there, and so we want to make sure they're there when we're updating. And it's just like some of that will interrupt us, so it won't be strictly every 2 weeks. You can think there's a train leaving every 2 weeks. The first train that leaves, we want to do any bug fixes, react to anything that happens. The second train that, like, so let's say this may not work out this way, but just pretend middle of the month is, hey, we just fixed a bunch of stuff, here you go, the quality of life's better, the game's better. The end of the month will be like, oh my god, this is a bunch of new stuff, here's I don't know, new weapon, new game mode, or like the new meta progression we'll add in, something more significant. And then the next update we'll have hot fixes between that as well. But the idea is doing it this way, we're not crunching all the time, we have an understanding of what's going on, and we have this map of kind of like everything that we're going to try to do this year. And now let's start breaking it in and scheduling, because we have episode 4 and 5 to do. We want to do a new game mode. But a lot of things are dependent on each other. And actually, are you going to ask about versus?
That was a perfect segue into versus, because
so we get asked about versus a lot.
Like it is literally like the most common question that we get asked.
And to be fair, we played Left 4 Dead versus the other day on the channel because it's fun.
I was bummed I wasn't around that night. That looked like you guys had a bunch of fun. It looked like.
But so with that, if you think about the enemies that we have right now, we do not have enough enemies that would be fun to play. I mean, we purposely are working this way because we're like, let's just make the game the best game for the players' characters, not worrying about versus yet. Get that down, and now we're like, okay, we should probably have some different classes of characters. I don't want to give away anything, but there should be some more. So now we need to do that first before we can have versus, because you're not going to want to play some of those other characters.
Well, like playing a spawner is probably not going to be super fun for most people. Although, like, there is an argument maybe for playing the spawner, because it is, if you're not great at shooters, like I was never particularly good at hunter jumping, right, in Left 4 Dead. Playing something that I can just harass people, and I'm playing hide and seek essentially from the survivors the whole game. Maybe that's compelling. Streamers were excited about playing the Flasher too, which I thought was really interesting. I hadn't considered that people would want to play the Flasher because it's a no damage class, but it's a high harassment class. So
yes. Well, So that's one of the things of versus is, and I think you have to have versus be in the main game. Essentially, like you want the player characters to try to be completing their task, because versus is just being a jerk to them.
Yeah.
And it's one of the few times you can grief and just be a horrible human being to another person, and it's part of the game. I mean, that's maybe why there's problem keeping people in the game, but like it's fun to do that, and you want to have that experience.
Yeah.
And so then you want to have the tools to be able to do that and feel good about that. And yeah, and maybe the spawner is, because I'll tell you, the spitter at first doesn't seem compelling, but man, you do a good spit and you hear those ding bells going, and you're excited.
Well,
so
yeah, like blocking anything you can do to block off the progress, to slow progress, is the key with that. That was a powerful tool for that.
Yeah. So just for players, we love that mode. We are thinking about that mode, but we don't have the pieces, parts that we need yet for that mode, as well as we first have some things coming for the current PvE mode, and we want to execute on that.
Well, yeah, the versus stuff has to come at the end of a long chain of work, and frankly, we need to build up an infrastructure for testing as well externally, because it's hard for us to test as a small studio an 8-player game, because like we can only get 2 sessions going if everybody's around.
Yeah.
So let's talk about Crescendo Events, because this is another place we want to add some stuff that I think is interesting. So like the holdouts and the finales and kind of the gauntlet at the end of episode 2 as well, I think all fit in this category.
Well, so I separate that out of just, I think the holdouts and the finales give you this moment to play house. You have some tools in there. Often it's just what grenades are available, some turrets, and you can just kind of set that up and strategize. And if you fail, you have that moment of like, okay, next time this is what we're going to do. And that's what kind of why holdout mode works in general really well. Survival mode. And we're thinking of that as well. But so really for that, what we want to start now giving you is more tools.
More defensive oriented tools specifically,
yes,
right?
What else can you use there? Like people know to use turrets there. They know that's probably a good place for their special weapons, or maybe they're even saving up grenade. Don't save up grenades, use them all the time. But like they're preparing for that and getting to play that out. But the other thing is those are really social moments in the game, because you stop. Everybody stops. You control the pacing. You decide when it's going to happen again. Maybe you're just going to kick back and talk for a while. Maybe you're going to run into it right away. But it gives you that moment to have that social moment to stop, plan, and then execute on it and see how it goes. And maybe it'll go horribly wrong. Maybe it'll go awesomely well. Like the other day, we set up way too much in the disco, and then like no brutes came at all. Like I've never had a finale or a crescendo event that had no brutes, but yet, that can happen here. And so it's like that kind of back and forth, I think that can go, that becomes interesting. And so definitely want to put some more tools in there. I think we probably want to explore a mode that's about that as well, so that players can kind of live in those spaces longer and play around. But I think I said this enough internally that I'm going to will it here and say we need like some trip mines, some other cool things like that.
Well, like trip mines. There's so much science fiction space to play with in the defensive things. Like I want shields that damage when they run through them, right? Like I want the jump rope of death to come back. There's so many things.
Yes. So yes. Well, so I say trip mines as the simple mind I have, and Ryan will come back and it'll be something insane and crazy and sci-fi related.
I'm telling you, ice goo is the future, man. Just put the ice goo on the edge of the cliff, lure the horde towards you. They run towards you. They zoop right over it. Problem solved. No ammo expended. Nice. Let's see. Another common thing that comes up is mod support, and because Unreal kind of has a reputation in the modding community as being a little bit difficult sometimes, and they want to know how we're kind of working around that, and what we're doing to make it possible for mod support to work with Unreal, both now and kind of in the future.
So first, Epic is being really supportive of this. Chance Ivy is one of the people who actually did a bunch of work for mod support on the Epic side. And we met with him again, somebody I know really well, good guy. So they're being helpful in that. But also, how we want to do mods is different than how other people have seen them. Typically, you have client-side only mods. And so, hey, I can see this thing, and you can look at my screen to see it, but you can't see it. Well, what we want is for that to be what's called replicated, meaning every player can see my skins. Now, you got to be careful, and this is the reason why we're starting where we are. We're starting with maps, weapon skins, and character skins, because if I'm that character, I get to choose what I look like, and that's fair. If we're skinning the spawner, whose spawner works. It's more complicated. We'll figure that out. We'll work that through with the community. But so where we are right now is we have some modders actively working because we had to figure out what tools they needed and what was the best way to kind of have the flow of this. We have a partner in this, Overwolf, and they have CurseForge as kind of a back end that helps do this across platforms. Because what we want to be able to do is have a modder create something, put it up to get voted on, because we kind of want to have a little filter just to help us, and have that filter be something you can vote on if you're playing on the Xbox, if you're playing on the PC, it just doesn't matter. And then if that gets voted up, we include it, and then it'll dynamically download when you need it and when you want to jump in and play. So especially maps and stuff, that is the key, because the goal is to have too many maps that you want on your hard drive. So what you want to do is either say, hey, keep this one because I play this one a lot, or hey, just download it for that session. And that's all stuff we're working out. We've been working actively on that. We have an engineer dedicated to that. Well, actually, we have 2 engineers dedicated to that on our side.
Yeah.
And so what we'll probably see first is one of the community maps be included in the game with a special tab that just says this is a community map, play it. The tools will probably come out some point after that, because we have to package up what does it look like to give you our version of the Unreal editor, making sure we've stripped out anything that we're not allowed to distribute. And that's actually
but also still giving you enough
process.
tools to build stuff, and like we have special tools that we use to generate the nav mesh, which determines where the aliens can go and all that kind of thing. We need to make sure that stuff works in this version and is probably a little more stable than the one, stable in terms of frequency of updates, not crashiness, than the one that we use internally.
But for a lot of people, if they're already working in some third-party tool already, they probably can just bring that in, and then they'll have to set up some of the what we call tile buddies, which is just like, hey, what's the start of your map? What's the end of your map? And then we're going to figure out the golden path from that, and some stuff like that.
But the goal is that whether you want to build it in our version of Unreal Ed, or if you want to build it in Maya and then import it in, or whatever tool you prefer, then you should be able to do that. So if you want to start working on maps now, I guess the thought is, swing away theoretically.
Maps, character skins, weapon skins, that's what we've put aside for this first set. And we'll keep expanding this, right? This will keep growing over time. But since there isn't this pipeline and this mature infrastructure around it, we need to build a bunch of tools first. And so we're biting this off. I mean, the great thing with Source, because God knows we played a Double Action Boogaloo the other day, which is a Source mod, right? Like, I love Source mods, but there's a really mature pipeline there.
Yeah.
That has just been shipped a ton of games, shipped a ton of content. And so we need to kind of replicate some of what that is on our side. But so that is something we actively work on every single day.
So one of my favorite things to do these days is to dip into the lore channel in the Discord at discord.gg/StrayBombay and find out, read the theories that people have about what's actually going on. People have asked you how you came up with the lore. People would just like a lore dump, Chet, and I don't know how much you want to share, but I think they'd welcome anything you're willing to give.
Purposely, we try to put as much as we can in game. And I think, like I said, I think the intro is not giving you a framework to understand that. Let's say this is a character Boris that we haven't met yet. I like this idea of a character we haven't met yet that we can talk about. You can come up in your head what you think about this character and what's going on, and you'll learn more later. But we're also always going to undersay things so that you can have this room to try to figure it out. But so this character Boris started collecting these rescue pods. So normally, if your ship's in duress, and you go enter a rescue pod, it shoots out names for the nearest ship nearby. But those ships were all taken over by aliens, and that became this problem. So she was intercepting those and grabbing those.
Wait, so you got in the escape pod thinking you were going to get away from the alien apocalypse on your ship, and it fires you toward the next island filled with okay, that seems bad.
Because who would think there was something wrong on all the ships?
I mean, I guess like we've never seen this kind of systemic failure across an entire. Fair.
There's actually some books and some NASA stuff on this. Like it's interesting.
Yeah, there's history of the ship's unsinkable. We're not going to need all these lifeboats anyway, so why would we have them for the steerage classes? Yeah, no, makes sense.
So they do that. She collects them, and then she's like, hey, we should probably rescue some other people. And go look for them. And so that your first mission is you're going to go look for the data card that is in the navigational system of the isolode. And what that is that has every known location of where the ships were last known, because her thought is maybe some of those ships didn't get taken over and we can go ping them or try to figure that out.
So is Boris on the Anacrusis now?
Correct. That's
okay.
The barge.
Okay.
So like when you're on a mission, is you're on a barge with her, you get in a jump ship, go to the isolode, do your mission, and then come back and go on the jump ship.
Okay.
And then back to the Anacrusis. Now, the aliens haven't attacked the Anacrusis because it doesn't have all the other noisy things that have attracted them to the other ships, right? It has like no propulsion. It's dead floating in space.
Okay.
And enough, so then the second mission
to host, right? Yeah.
Yes. So the second mission is while she's scanning for those other places, she decides to turn back onto the isolode and look for stuff and realize that since her last scan, the aliens have put a piece of technology around the central core of the computer
yeah,
and doing something, and she doesn't like that and wants to know what they're doing. As Lance nicely points out, why do we care? Let's just not worry about it. But
I feel like that's Lance's solution to a lot of problems, in fairness.
And so then episode 3 starts with us with you've taken alien tech back. Boris has realized, oh my God, what they're going to do is, while they are an advanced race that could overtake us because our model and our AI had never been designed to deal with them, they actually don't have long distance travel.
They're not able to go faster than light or whatever.
Yeah, travel in the way through wormholes that the humans do. So they're going to try to steal this technology, and we've got to warn Earth. But the problem is that lifeboat that you're going to send out has been made to go to the nearest ship. It doesn't have any life support system, so all the humans can't just pile into it, because it also can't use the wormhole technology that normally gets used, because that's been shut down mysteriously. No one knows why yet. You may find out. So instead, you just have to send it the old-fashioned way, which means it's going to take like 100 years. And there's not enough stuff on there for the humans to live there. So they're going to send that solo. And then Lance, of course, makes the realization that that's not they're not going to come rescue them, that they probably will not still be alive.
Wait,
then.
People don't live for an extra long time in the future? Oh, this is so sad. Poor Lance.
They live a good time. And if you notice, they're all fit. They're all healthy,
Yeah, okay. So they might, you're saying they might have a chance.
Yes. Okay. So that is where they are now. We will learn in what happens in episode 4 and 5 then, but it'll be playing off inside of the isolode and with that setup.
There's nothing like a good, hopeless one-way mission for a bunch of scrappy survivors to cliffhang the next 2 episodes.
Or that they are doing something for not just themselves and are not narcissists and are trying to do good for the world.
Wait, the characters grow? That's bonkers. Let's see. We have time for one more, I think. Do you want to talk? People have asked a lot about like Steam features, like point shop items and badges and all of that kind of stuff. That's coming, right?
Yes. Yeah. No. So, if you look on my background on my Steam page, I have some backgrounds. I have some stuff. I collect this stuff as well. I play this game. But that's stuff that we would think that's more towards the 1.0 launch than the early access launch.
Same thing.
So there's stuff we're going to definitely be coming.
Yeah.
If you have stuff that you would like to see, like let us know and we put that in a document and keep that. So either, Bailey or Jeff can dig in there one day and start whipping some stuff out. Some of the stuff like the key art that we have and everything kind of came later once we really knew what the game was and really felt confident in that. And, like, I love our key art. And so I want to bring that out. I like that style we use, and we'll use probably in this video.
We do.
And so like all of that will come, but like we first kind of have to get the vibe down and grow and like wait till the 1.0 launch.
Well, and so we launched, when we were launching, we thought we had to do achievements because of different platform requirements. And then when we moved over to early access and game preview, that changed, and we looked at the achievements that we'd made and we're like, these are the kind of achievements we don't love. Like, we get a lot of questions about achievements, is why I specifically wanted to call this out. So we were like, okay, let's shelve these. We're going to do them later in the early access process. And we want to make the ones that are fun, like the ones that make you engage with the game in a different way, rather than are just, hey, go out and shoot 54,000 aliens or whatever the magic number happens to be. So yeah, that's it, I guess. This is our first, maybe we'll call this a grab bag. Devblog grab bag. That's a weird syllable beat there, but I'll figure it out. If people want to know more about the game, or they want to find out, ask questions, interact with us, we're on the Discord a lot. We're at discord.gg/StrayBombay. It's probably the best way to get a hold of us. The Steam forums are also good. The Xbox Club is also good, if depending on which platform you happen to be on. And yeah, we'd love to hear what you think and what questions you have, stuff that we haven't answered.
Or just jump in and play with you.
Yeah.
Or like right now we have a weekly challenge going. Like we're trying this thing of internally of like, hey, let's try to do a speed run on episode 2. And so we're just going to continue to do stuff like that, and just join us and let us know what you'd like to see.
When we asked people to do the speed run of episode 2. We sat down and did it with a couple of mods, a couple of our moderators for the Discord, and I think we knocked out like a 14-minute time or something. I was like, that's pretty good. 12. Yeah. I was like, that's pretty good. Well, like, what did you think the low was on that when we started this? Like 10 minutes?
I thought it was lower than that because you don't die fast.
Look, man, I died as fast as I could. I didn't shoot any of the aliens that were beating me to death. You just did an ineffective job of killing me.
I think I'm going to play some Left 4 Dead mods tonight or tomorrow with Jet and that group.
Yeah.
And I think I'm going to ask them to go back and redo this because I think they understand how cutthroat you have to be, where you want to kill aliens. I want to run fast.
I hardly killed any aliens.
Quick.
I just ran through pulsing I was in the lead as often as not in that challenge. I'm taking this as a personal affront, sir.
And yet,
look, I got knocked and nobody came and got me so I could jump off the bridge. I made it clear that I was knocked. I can't help that people ignored me. I think that seems like the current time is about 8 minutes and 50 seconds, I think. So just under really 9 minutes. It's really fast. Especially given that there's a solid 2.5 minutes of event space that you can't skip without some sort of exploit. So yeah, I'm interested to see if people get down. I think somebody ran through with no monsters in the level and was like, 8:30 is the fastest I was able to do it. So I don't know, we'll see.
And to be clear, it's not the best way to play the game.
No,
that is the only map that this works in. The other maps where you have to stop and then fight stuff you're gonna die not getting all the perks and everything. So yeah, but it's still just a fun little thing to try. This is how we work. Take what's the simplest way to test something. Let's put it in. Let's get some feedback, and then go from there.
Please don't play this with random people in the matchmaking queue because everybody involved will have a bad time. Put together a group of 4 people in the Discord and go after it if you want to try it. And the person who has the best time at the end of the week is going to get a special Discord role, and they have a little Boris next to their name. So there you go.
Awesome.
That's it for this week. We'll see you all next week. Join the Discord. It's discord.gg/StrayBombay. The game's out now on Steam, Xbox One, Xbox Series, and Game Pass for both PC and Xbox, so you can get it anywhere fine video games are sold. And we're excited about the update that's coming next. It's going to be a big one.
We'll talk about the update next week. So tune in next week.
Yeah. Bye, everybody.
Bye.